the INEC chairman, who I personally think has put out or has, displayed the most embarrassing display that we've ever seen from any INEC chairman.
You say, Yakubo, I want to be a star. I don't want to be a star. Yeah, we want everybody. Well, you don't see what it's happening. Now, it's a friend to arrest why a fit will be. The components, and lion is here. In the go, any, everything I consider fit will be a problem. Now, first the boss guy. Now, don't go think it's a Yakubo. I want to be pro star. Quite should be now you pro star.
Mr. Yakubu, Emma should be fraudster.
Are you calling a dignity?
Mr.
Yakubu news, our point of view. I just wish all of the celebrities would be like this guy. I feel like all of you could be like him. Like it's an example to everybody. It's not invite him. Go ask a question, do you trust the INEC? Now you answer the question in the comment section. Do you trust the INEC? Because to me like this, I'm trustee. I'm untrustee, sorry. Huh? I will announce this thing for night when people they sleep. Why you want to make us quiet if you need to turn down mandates? I will drop the video. I will drop the video. Even as we are speaking now, Nigeria has done the protest against anti-Tinubu anti-Fita Obi for America. Because the moment America give Nigerians access to protest against the pronounced president of Nigeria, Tinubu got started the PR. I will drop the video. I will drop the video. Protest is going on everywhere. Now I will ask somebody, I tell somebody, it's not for you to go and sing LOB, 74 LOB. Come on, can you protest? You don't sing LOB finish, now it's time for protest. Come and collect on one day, not to go and sing in one day. After the LOB, what else? Come on. If you know you are obedient, come out on the street and let's just go and collect on one day. Before you go now, make sure now will reach. And watching the one give us a shaking president, it cannot happen. I was saying about Brazil, but because of this thing they do for Carnival, I know go people. I will drop the video on my other winner. Because me, I'm not scared. Some people don't even peer bots. Now human being they will peer. Just like I always say, this subscribe to my channel because of update and other stupid things. I will drop the video of why is the bad guy in an interview. I will see drop the video of American protesters against Tinubu. We are tired of this country. I'm tired of it, but nobody spoil up. Because I still want to take put out the no. Go subscribe to my channel, what's the video
who have expressed different levels of disappointment with the whole process. They've described it as very, very not credible. They've said INEC failed them, and these are a lot of young people who we at this point even fear that they may not want to participate in Nigerian elections going forward. But I want you to I want to get your thoughts on the process. Would you join those who say that INEC failed Nigerians and failed the young Nigerians who decided to participate at this time? And what for you was the most shocking part of the whole process on the 25th of February?
I will definitely join them. If I'm not the first person to say that, safe. It was extremely shambolic. It was terrible. It was a mess. I think what was most shocking to me was the fact that the INEC chairman, who I personally think has put out or has, displayed most embarrassing display that we've ever seen from any INEC chairman. He constantly and consistently, unprovoked, nobody asked him, reassured Nigerians that on election day, transmission of results will be via the BVAS system. The reason the BVAS system was introduced in the first place was to mitigate these issues, to solve this problem of rigging.
Yeah.
And he constantly and consistently reassured Nigerians that that was going to be up and running, and on the day, it just didn't work. So for me, I think that was probably the most shocking thing, especially because this person consistently said, oh, this is what we're going to use. And if I'm being honest with you, the point where we were able to reach in terms of the entire electoral process, I think is probably the best possible it can be for a country like Nigeria, because it's a perfect hybrid system. Now, the actual voting system is very manual. You know, you literally thumbprint on a physical sheet of paper. Everybody does that one by one. And then in front of all agents for each party, they count the votes. Yeah. So everyone witnesses the counting one by one. Okay, Labour Party, so amount. APC, so amount. PDP, so amount. Everyone witnesses that. Then the electoral officer signs a result sheet with the result that everyone can attest to.
Yes.
And then what they're supposed to do, which they didn't do, of course, is take a photo of that result sheet and immediately upload it to the portal. So that real time, of course, some people will finish voting before others, but real time, you can start checking polling unit by polling unit, start putting together what the results are. Nothing went up.
Yeah, but what about, so the INEC chairman, over time, in the last couple of days, they've moved between saying that they had technical glitches, to saying that, some of the staff were poorly trained. And I remember we spoke about this yesterday, that they needed to retrain more, their staff better, ad hoc staff better, and of course, maybe even sack some of them that failed. So, would you agree with the narrative that his intentions were pure, and that means that from when he spoke at Chatham House to when he spoke at every other interview assuring Nigerians that this is the process that would be used, that was the intention, but it just happens that, Nigerian.
In the grand scheme of things, it's incredibly difficult to possibly conceive the idea that his intentions were ever pure. It's incredibly difficult. Let's start from the budget to run this election. 300 billion.
Yeah.
How can you come and then tell me you had technical issues? Poorly trained staff. Come on. With this I personally think this is a ridiculous amount of money. But let's not even go into that. You had this, just make it work. You had one job. Just make it work. How possibly expensive can it be to set up this is a booming tech era.
Yes.
We were just talking about it, such a high population of young people in this country. People that are very tech savvy. If you have problems on the technical side, there's a big amount of people that can help you out with that. So you can't come with excuses, they hacked your system, or your server was down. What is that mess? How can you say that your server was down in a presidential election for the entire country of over 200 and something million people, that you had this long to plan for and this much money to work with? Like I said earlier on, I think this was an extremely embarrassing display from Mahmood Yakubu.
All right, now you've talked about the fact that we had sufficient money, over 300 billion was allocated for the planning of the elections. Unfortunately, there have been lots of reports, not just from one person, lots of reports about inconsistency, not just in the tallying, but also in updating the results. You have spoken very passionately on your page about how this is a violation of the Electoral Act, and I'd like you to shed further light on that.
Yes. So just as I was explaining earlier on, this system that we have right now, I think, is the best we can possibly have in a country like Nigeria. So what happened was that prior to this, there was no such thing as electoral transmission of results. Just last year, the Electoral Act was amended after a lot of deliberation, and people were like, okay, we have to solve this problem of rigging. How can we solve this problem of rigging? Okay, how about we take out that element of carrying the ballot and moving from polling unit to collation center. How about we transmit the results directly from the polling unit? And everyone agreed, oh, this is beautiful, wonderful. The Electoral Act was amended accordingly. Now, the Electoral Act then gave the chairman of INEC the power to make guidelines and regulations that would, govern the entire process. And he, by himself, Mahmoud Yakubu, released the guidelines and regulations saying, okay, this is how it's going to work. Transmission will be via the BVAS. And on the day, he, by himself, violated that. The act is not only illegal, in no way transparent. How do you come the night of the election, announce one state, Ekiti State? From where did you get those results? The next day, you continue. You're announcing these results in like tranches. Like, what are you doing? Everything just looks so shabby. No one can even verify these results. Where are you getting these results from? And a lot of result sheets surfaced on the internet where we'll see, results clearly being altered and so messy.
So what then is the way forward? We've seen the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party have criticized the results, saying that they do not accept it. Labour Party believes that they have won the elections as well, and they're taking the matter to court. Do you foresee that the court would maybe overturn the current situation as is? And do you really have trust in the Supreme Court and its ability to be able to, act as a fair check in this situation? I'm asking this because we have seen that there's a breach of trust between the bench and between the average Nigerians in some cases. Many of them have expressed their concern as to how they worry that there might be some influence, maybe the Supreme Court or even the election petition tribunals. So are you confident that the law will take its course?
I see that the Supreme Court would be able to, by its judgment, remedy the situation. However, I think what most people are worried about, and what you're probably asking me about, is whether everyone will be in compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment. What we've seen time after time is the executive arm of government refusing to listen to the judicial arm of government. And for a democracy to work, there has to be clear separation of powers with checks and balances in place. The reason why that concept even exists, the reason why there are courts, is to check every other arm of government. Everyone has all these powers and they can't just be acting like it's a dictatorship. Everyone has to be subject to the law. Everyone is equal before the law, regardless of who you are, even if you're the president. So we've seen, like what you were telling me off air, we've seen a lot of instances where the president himself, Muhammadu Buhari, refused to listen to the Supreme Court. So that's probably why, everyone's apprehensive. What's going to happen? Is this going... But I promise you, this can't be one of those.
And I'd just like to quickly chip in that particular reference would be, of course, the challenge with the Naira situation, where it seems that we're hearing one thing from the court and we're hearing something different from the presidency. Now we still are, the Supreme Court has extended the validity of the old Naira notes, and we hope that everyone else will be able to catch on and that we can have free flow of cash in the coming days.
I also want to, two things. I think I'm going to speak about, the governorship elections that are coming up in a bit. But also, I think one thing you notice in Nigeria is that there's no actual punishment for incompetence. When people fail, with their responsibilities, they are rewarded with more responsibilities instead of, being cautioned. But I want to talk about the...
Very sorry to interrupt you. And, just as we're talking about the INEC chairman, and just to buttress your point, he's done this entire thing, but the law doesn't actually hold him criminally liable for this entire episode. And I find that wild, because how do you get away with such an atrocity? And in a hypothetical situation that an INEC chairman has been compromised and has indeed benefited, maybe by way of some sort of bribe, how do you then get punished for that. If anything, he's just going to jet off after this entire thing to go and enjoy his money. Thank you.
Thank you.